Hello friends, today's topic is percentage. We'll handle some typical CAT problems and learn how to handle them in time pressure by using basic smart work so that they become easily handleable and solvable in time pressure. Let's see some questions. An increase of 30% in the price of apples enables a man to buy 6 kg less for rupees 300. Find the increased price per kg. Now here in this people, we need to know what was the budget. So budget is rupees 300 which is given to me, and the price is being affected by 30%. So that means my budget too gets affected by 30%, and 30% of 300 happens to be rupees 90. Now that means either I should pay for same quantities rupees 90 extra or get 6 kg less. So that means I have 90 rupees for 6 kg now. So price per kg is 90 divided by 6, that is rupees 15. So 15 is the increased price per kg. Going to the next question now. Mr. Kanjus calculates if he lets out his property for rupees 5,000 per month per annum and pays some amount for upkeeping per annum, he gains 8% of his investment or purchase price. Now in the second scenario, if he lends it for 4760 only, that is rupees 240 less, and pays rupees 40 less for upkeeping, so he is spending 40 less for the upkeeping of the house. So in a way we can say that he is only losing on rupees 200. That is, in this case, initially he was letting it out for 5,000 and gaining 8%. In the second scenario, he is letting it out for 4760, which is 240 less, but also paying 40 less for upkeeping. So that means I am incurring less expenditure on upkeeping, which makes my loss to the tune of only rupees 200. And in this second scenario, his percentage gain is 7.5%. Now if we see, the difference is 200 in rupees and 0.5 in percentage. So that means here 200 is 0.5% of x. Now solving, x is equal to 200 upon 0.5 into 100, which is 40,000, which is my purchase price. Now the next question is the difference between the marked price of an item and selling price of an item. Now people, we know that generally the difference between the marked price and selling price is discount. So he says marked price of an item and selling price of an item is same as difference between the cost price and the selling price of the same. So here that means the difference between selling and cost price generally occurs due to profit or loss. Now find the profit percent if a discount of 16.2/3% is offered on the item. Now here we know that discount is 16.2/3% or 1/6 as a fraction. Now as per the condition given in the question, marked price minus selling price is equal to selling price minus cost price. As he said, the difference is same. Now let's interpret the fraction of discount, which is 1 by 6. It means if 6 rupees is marked price, then discount is rupee 1. So that is what we mean by 1/6 is discount. So if 6 is the mark price, discount is 1, then 5 is the selling price, final selling price. Now mark price and selling price difference is 1. So 6 minus 5 should be equal to, which is 1, we know that, equal to selling price minus cost price. So this difference should remain same, which is 1. So my cost price must be rupees 4 in order to justify the basic format of the equation what we have mentioned. Now here the profit element must be rupee 1, which is the difference between the selling price and cost price. Now what we need to calculate is percentage profit. Now since profit is taken as a percentage of cost price, so this rupee 1 as a percentage of cost price, which is rupees 4, expressed as percentage is 25%, hence the answer. Now in the next question, when processing flower nectar into honeybee extract, a considerable amount of water is removed. Now how much flower nectar must be processed to yield 1 kg of honey, which is the final amount we need, if nectar contains 70% water and honey obtained from the nectar contains 10% water. Now here, as per the values, what we need is, we need 1 kg of honey. So now as we know, 1 kg honey has 10% water or 90% other solubles. So now, which means 900 grams of other things. Now we know that 70% water was included in the nectar part. So 70% water was included, that means 30% of other solubles were present in the nectar. So now we can equate these two by saying 30% of something is equal to 900 grams. So X is equal to 900 into 100 upon 30, which happens to be 3000 grams or 3 kgs as the answer. The next question, let A and B be two solid spheres such that the surface area of B is 300% higher than the surface area of A. So here 300% higher basically means 3 times higher or 3 times more. Or we can say that the ratio of surface areas will be 1:4. 300% higher or 3 times more. This is the ratio of surface areas of A:B. Now the volume of A is found to be K% lower than the volume of B. So we need the value of K. Now people, we know that surface area of anything is square units. So we generally get the surface area by squaring, and what we are squaring in this particular case, that is spheres, must be the radii. So the ratio of radii must be square root of 1:4, that is 1:2. Now what we need is the ratio of volumes, and we know that the volumes are cubic units. So let's cube to get the ratio of volumes. 1 cube happens to be 1 and 2 cube happens to be 8. Now what we need is lower or higher terms. So 8 is 7 more than 1. So here what we need is ratio of volumes is 1:8, which is 7 more than 8 expressed as percentage. So 87.5%. Hence the answer. The next question, after receiving 2 successive raises, Ahmad's salary becomes 75/40 times his original salary. Now, by what percent his salary has been increased the first time if second rise was twice the percentage as compared to the first rise? Now, let's examine the fraction first. What we know, his salary has become 75/40 times, which is practically 1 plus 35/40. Now 35/40 expressed in lowest terms is nothing but 7/8. Now since 1 is 100% expressed as percentage and 7/8 we know is 87.5%. So here we come to the conclusion, after 2 successive raises in which the second rise is twice of the first, say the first rise was x%, then the second rise was 2x%, that is twice of the first. So then the successive effect is 87.5%. Now let's use the choices, according to which if we have first choice 25% is the first increase, so the second increase must be then 50%. So applying a basic formula, x plus y plus xy upon 100, we get 25 plus 50 plus 25 into 50 upon 100. So which happens to be 87.5%, which is the required answer. Let's check one more option just to justify that this is our answer. So let's check a choice, say 50. So if the first percentage increase is 50%, second must be 100%. Now this cannot be our answer. Why? Because it is already 150%, way above the required 87.5. The third choice was 20%, so the second must be 40%. So applying the same, we get 20 plus 40 plus 20 into 40 by 100, so which is 68%. Now fourth choice 30%, so the second must be 60%. This also already exceeds the required limit of 87.5%, that is it becomes 90%, plus it will have some cumulative effect also, that is x into y upon 100. So it will exceed the required answer. Hence the answer is 87.5%. Mr. Bhansali's salary is increased by 50% and then it has been decreased by 33 1/3%. The final salary is same as the final salary of Mr. Black, another person, after it has been increased by 33, 1 by 3%, and then decreased by 50%. So what we need is, what is the ratio of the original salaries of Mr. Bhansali and Mr. Black respectively. Now let's approach this question with a bit of smart work, that is by using fractions for the respective percentage increase or decrease. So we had Mr. Bhansali's salary first, which was first increased by 50%. So something which is increased by 50% becomes 1 plus 1 by 2, that is, it becomes 3 by 2. Now the second effect in his salary was decreased by 33 1 by 3%. So 33 1 by 3 is 1 by 3. So decreasing by 1 by 3, we get 2 by 3. Now the combined effect of these two will be 3 by 2 into 2 by 3, which is 1. So that means Mr. Bhansali's salary is not at all affected. His original salary remains the same. Now let's talk about Mr. Black. In case of Mr. Black, we had his salary first was increased by 33 1 by 3%, which means 1 plus 1 by 3, which is 4 by 3. And the second effect was, it was decreased by 50%. So 50% decrease again happens to be 1 minus 1 by 2, which is 1 by 2. Let's have the combined effect. The combined effect would be 4 by 3 into 1 by 2, which is 2 by 3. Now here we come to know Mr. Black's salary has been reduced to 2/3 of original salary. Now what we need to compare is, what was the ratio of the original salaries of Mr. Bhansali and Mr. Black. Let the original salary of Mr. Bhansali was X and Mr. Black was Y. Now what we know as a relation is, after effecting these percentages, their salary, final salary, becomes equal. So that means 1x is equal to 2 by 3 times y, which is the original salary of Mr. Black. Now here we need the ratio of x upon y, which we can clearly examine is 2 by 3 itself, which is the final ratio and our answer. Now the next question, fresh mushrooms contain 90% of water by weight, while dried mushrooms contain 12% of water. So that means water is not completely evaporated. We have the water content, which is 12% left. How much dried mushrooms will be obtained from 22 kgs of fresh mushrooms? So that means here we begin with 22 kgs of fresh mushrooms. Now we know that since 90% of water was contained in fresh mushrooms, so 10% must be the pulp portion or the solid part. So 10% of 22 kgs is 2.2 kgs. Now this 10%, now after drying up, water remains 12%, or the solid part becomes 100 minus 12, that is 88%. So here we come to a conclusion that 88% of something is equal to 2.2 kgs. Now solving for x, we get 2.2 is 88% of something. So we get answer to be 2.5 kgs. So that was it, people. We tried to apply some smart work in these typical problems which occurred in CAT some time ago. So I hope you learned them well, and let's try these concepts to some practice questions given now. These are the answers to these problems, and that is all from my side. It is happy learning once again from hitbullseye.com. Thank you.